He said, well, yeah, we do Novocaine, but see that canister of gas over there in the corner? I haven't done the training yet, so probably not going to use that. And he laughed. Bonjour tout le monde, I'm Diane, this is Oui In France, and today we're talking about going to the dentist in France. Keep on watching to find out what to expect, what my own experience has been like with dentistry in France, and also to learn about some of the differences between dental care in the USA and France. And of course, that includes the cost. Alright, so in case you're new here, first, welcome. I recently did a video on the differences between going to the doctor in France versus the USA, and that was a hit, so you can check that out after you watch this video, linked above. And also, stick around until the end for my new segment called Things I Love, but with that, I just want to jump right into it, and we're going to kick this video off with dental costs. It's one of the biggest differences you'll encounter about dental care in France, and overall, dental care here is cheaper than what it is in the USA. I'll say that right off the bat, but it is certainly not free for adults. And as you'll see in a minute, you'll see dental work can actually get quite expensive beyond basic care, like a cleaning, a filling, and an extraction. It can get quite expensive once you need things like a crown or a bridge. So first, let me give you a little bit of background. Dental care in France is part of the public health system, and most dentists work within this public system. So you're free to choose whichever dentist you'd like. You don't need a referral from your primary care doctor. You choose. And dental work is reimbursed similarly to how medical care is handled in France. We all pay into the system and we're reimbursed accordingly. So preventative care like cleanings, they're reimbursed 70% of this official basic rate. And keep that basic rate in mind because I'm going to come back to it in a second when it gets really important. And also, if you have a supplementary insurance, a top-up insurance called a mutuelle, you may be reimbursed even more than that baseline 70%. So that just depends. Let me get into a concrete example. So a dental cleaning is called a détartrage, and for adults, you pay 28 euros and 92 cents. You pay that to the dentist directly, and he or she does that cleaning, and it's not the hygienist in most cases. It's the dentist himself or herself. And as a French citizen or a resident like I am, paying into the system, as I said, you'll get 70% of that reimbursed in a couple of days. So that's 20 euros, 24 centimes. I'll put today's exchange rate up. And out of pocket, a cleaning is about 10 US dollars without any supplementary insurance. So you're probably saying, great, that's awesome. We'll get to the quality of that cleaning in one of my next points. But sticking with costs, let me give you another example. So a tooth extraction. That's 25 euros, and to fill a simple cavity, just with one side, it's about 26 euros. And remember, you're getting 70% of that amount reimbursed within a couple of days. And I'll cite my source from the French Social Security website, amelie.fr. I'll link that down below so you can just see everything listed out for you, all right? Also, one thing to note, cosmetic work like teeth whitening, that's not reimbursed by the state. That would be completely out of pocket. But let me get to the part where the costs get tricky and expensive. These official baseline prices are kept low so everyone can afford dental care. But the thing is, these prices, they haven't changed in at least 10, maybe 20 years. So dentists these days would have a very hard time making a good living if all they earned was, this 20-some fee for, basic dental care. And that's why dentists in France charge above and beyond these baseline prices set by the government, and that's called a dépassement d'honoraires. And these additional fees are not reimbursed by the French social security system. So let me give you an example in the case of a crown or maybe a prosthetic. The official baseline price for the reimbursement of a crown is 120 euros. Great. You'll get 70% of that 120 back via France's public system. But the problem is pretty much no dentist charges only 120. And I'll put my dentist prices up on the screen. I was there last week just so you get an idea, in a suburb of what these things cost. But a crown is often several hundred more euros than that, like 500-600 euros. And if you don't have that mutuelle that I mentioned earlier about the top-up insurance that pays part of the difference, you would be responsible for paying that amount out of pocket. Now, the good thing is that all costs are clearly outlined ahead of time. You can ask for an estimate so there are no surprises. And a tip is that if you're in France and you know you're going to need a lot of dental work done, Save up and also opt for that mutuelle, that extra insurance with high dental coverage. Otherwise, it could get really pricey out of pocket if you need a bunch of crowns, etc. And just so you know, if you're a tourist, you can make an appointment with any dentist in France, pay the same fee as a French person, except the difference is that since you aren't paying into the system, you obviously won't be reimbursed like a French resident is by the French social security system. So maybe you have travel insurance or something like that, but you'll pay the same fee overall. And just an example, my mom had a temporary crown pop off when she was here on vacation. She got a same-day appointment. The dentist filed down her teeth, put the crown back on, and she paid like 30 euros out of pocket and was done in a matter of 45 minutes. So next, let me move on to the quality of care. So I've seen multiple dentists over the years in France for basic stuff, and they're all highly trained, they're capable, and while of course you can find a bad dentist anywhere, my experience here has been good overall. Good. Not perfect, but good. And there's absolutely nothing to be worried about regarding the overall quality of the dental work done in France. And just one funny story is that, well, it's for another day, but when I asked one of my dentists the first time I went to the dentist if he used Novocaine or gas for dental work, he said, well, yeah, we do Novocaine, but see that canister of gas over there in the corner? I haven't done the training yet, so probably not going to use that. And he laughed. And I wasn't sure if he was joking. I think he was just trying to put me at ease. But all jokes aside, dentists here use advanced dental techniques, digital x-rays and molds. You're not going to have that garbage shoved into your mouth for a mold like they did 20 years ago. Many have modern offices, and there's no reason to be fearful of seeing a dentist in France. Always though, my tip is do your homework like you would anywhere for anything. Check your prospective dentist's reputation online and, ask around. Word of mouth is often the best way to find a good dentist. Now, in terms of the cleaning, they've actually surprised me a bit because they've been very, very quick. And that's something I've heard from a lot of other foreigners in France who are used to maybe a more thorough cleaning, where you could really feel the spaces in between your teeth in the US. And I'm, no joke, in and out of my dentist's office here in 15, 20 minutes max. They scrape the plaque, but they aren't obsessive about it. So it's very quick. When my dentist was on vacation once, I saw a young dentist who didn't yet have his own practice, and he did my cleaning. He was just working as a fill-in. And he explained to me, that dentists in France, they don't make good money, as I said, on cleanings and other regular preventative care. So they don't really take a ton of time doing it just because it's not where they make their money. So is that true across the board? I don't know, probably not, but there's probably some truth in there. And just to, contrast my experience, my husband's dentist, also French, he's much more thorough. So overall, in my experience from people I've spoken to, dental cleanings here are much quicker than what you'd find in the USA. Something else that surprised me here is that dentists here, they never made me feel bad about, my dental hygiene, just the opposite actually. And it was something I became really accustomed to in the US. As a kid or a teen, the dentist will clean your teeth and then not shame you, but they'll say, how often are you flossing? How long are you brushing? You have some plaque buildup, you have to floss daily, and you'd be like, oh yeah, I know, sorry. You almost get a little bit of a lecture, about how you have to brush for 5 minutes, twice a day. And in France, it was like the end of my first appointment, and the dentist was always really happy with my dental hygiene, and he never even mentioned flossing. So it was just a contrast because, I don't know, it was just different. All right, next one is there's no goodie bag. And I know, yes, I'm a grown adult, but yeah, it's funny that I'm even mentioning this, but it was something I noticed that was different. I would dread going to the dentist as a younger adult in the US, despite, the dentist being gentle and kind, and not because of the cost. Well, that too, but it literally hurt due to like a jaw issue I've had since I was a teenager. So when that's flaring up, the last thing I want to do is hold my mouth open. So it was always a nice little reward to get a little goodie bag with dental floss and a toothbrush and a mouthwash. I would kind of look forward to it, maybe that's silly, but my first visit in France, after the end of my appointment, I was like, hey guys, where's the goodie bag? They're like, well, what are you talking about? And the thing you have to remember is that we're patients in France, we're not customers, and a goodie bag would be at the expense of the dentist, so they really don't give them out, but I don't know, it's just a little minor thing, but no goodie bags in France. All right, next up is the office. Dentists in France can work alone in their own office. They can work in a practice called a cabinet, with other dentists and oral surgeons. It really just depends. So you'll see both, a sign on the side of an apartment building with the dentist or a big, super modern practice. And, mine has several secretaries, maybe 8 or 9 dentists and surgeons, and I even get a text message the day before to remind me of my appointment. So they're super high tech and modern. And the next thing I want to talk about is the wait. So there were over 42,000 practicing dentists in France in 2018, according to Statista. But depending where you live in France and the demand, well, you might have to wait a little while for a non-emergency appointment. And that was the case for me as a new patient. Dentists are not evenly spread out throughout France. So when I first came, I think I had to wait like 5 or 6 months, and it was just for a cleaning. Of course, if it were an emergency, the dentist would have gotten me in. They're not masochists that you're going to have to wait with a sore tooth. No, but as a new client, a new patient, you might have a bit of a wait. But again, that depends on the demand, how many dentists you have. Okay? All right, next up is that on-call dentists for after hours and emergencies are all over France. And I think this is great. It's an on-call medical service called the Service de Garde, and they're available all hours, holidays, Sundays, and during the night. And this will depend on if you're in a big city or in a smaller town, just depending where you are, what the coverage is. But there'll also be an all-hours pharmacy. If you have a toothache, you can always go to the pharmacy that's on call. They also have, on-call on-call veterinary services and all of that. And it's all less than what you pay in the USA, although it's more than the regular, in-office, normal hours during the week. And I find that most towns are well connected when it comes to emergency health services. So again, there's nothing to fear or be anxious about. And when in doubt, if you're unsure of, you have a bad tooth, you're a tourist, you could always ask your pharmacy, what the protocol is ahead of time, just so you know. And as always, please note, I'm not a dentist, I'm not an expert on medical care in France, but the information that I provided you with here on dental care is correct to the best of my knowledge. So always, always consult official sources before getting any dental work done in France. Make sure you have the most up-to-date information. And I say this every time, this isn't a judgment on what's done better or worse in France or the USA. They're two countries, they do different things, but it's more of a commentary on the differences so you can be prepared and not caught off guard if you find yourself in need of dental care. I know personally, it could be really nerve-wracking and you could be fearful of going to the dentist in general, and then that can be amplified in a foreign country. So for me, knowing what to expect can help alleviate at least some of that stress, so that's what I've aimed to do here. All right, now for the Things I Love segment. Today I want to tell you about my favorite wine, which I have right here. And I like a bunch of different types of wines, depending on the meal and the occasion, but my go-to that I always drink is called Muscadet, not to be confused with Muscat or the sweet Italian wine called Moscato. No clue how you say that in Italian. But Muscadet is from where I live, just outside of Nantes, in the appellation called Muscadet, Sèvres et Maine. And that's where you go for some of the top muscadets in the region. And this is it. It's a bone-dry, light-bodied white wine. And it's actually made with the Melon de Bourgogne grape. So if you like a Sauvignon Blanc, it's a really nice wine to try if you're not familiar with it. Check it out in your local wine shop. You'll have no trouble finding it in France. And generally, they cost under 10 euros a bottle, sometimes even just 4 or 5. And it has a really nice minerality, citrus notes, a high acidity, and it goes down really easily, maybe too easily. And it's been one of my favorites for years. I didn't discover it till I came to France. And this bottle here I got from a local wine shop, and it was 8 euros and 80 centimes. So if you're a wine lover or you're looking to maybe try a new wine and you like dry wines, Muscadet is amazing. This particular bottle is the Gras Mouton. It's like a fatty sheep is what that means. And I'll put this up on the screen so you could take a look at the label. It's from someone, the Domaine Haute-Févrie, from a guy named Sébastien Branger. And on the back, it's telling me we have 12.5% volume of alcohol. And it's an amazing wine. So check out Muscadet. That's what I have for you on Things I Love. And as always, I have a shop. It helps to support this channel so I could keep on making free content for you, the viewers. I'd love to hear from you down in the comments if you've been to a dentist in France, how you have found the care, if you found anything surprising or interesting, and just what your experience has been. As always, give me a thumbs up. Check out my links down below in the description. I have a newsletter and all kinds of interesting things. And I really appreciate you being here. And I look forward to seeing you right back here on Oui In France soon. Salut!